Being told to report to the island so you can go on and start your work, your job. And little do you know, your job, you might not make it.
You stand on a rocky shore watching a dinghy return to the ship, anchored a few miles off the coast. You've just been dropped off on a deceptively beautiful deserted island in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean. As your last hope of escape disappears over the horizon, you swallow your fear and turn your attention to figuring out how you're going to survive the night on Snake Island, the most dangerous place on Earth. Being accepted into the Brazilian Navy has been your life's biggest achievement, and you're proud to be serving your country. Shortly after arriving at your first posting in Sao Paulo, you're told to report to the docks first thing tomorrow morning for a very special mission. This will be your first official mission with the Navy, and you can hardly sleep for the excitement. Finally, morning arrives, and you're the first one to board the ship. As others arrive, you're surprised to find that your group includes not only Navy sailors, but scientists and even a doctor. What kind of mission is this? As the ship makes its way through the harbor and heads for the open ocean, you muster up the courage to ask another sailor where exactly you're headed. You don't know? He says with a laugh. Well, rookie, you're in for a treat. We're on our way to Snake Island. Snake Island? It can't be true. You grew up in a small coastal town near Sao Paulo, so of course, you're all too familiar with Snake Island, the most dangerous place on Earth. Snake Island is a remote island in the South Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Brazil, about 93 miles from downtown Sao Paulo. At one time, there was an attempt to tame the island and turn it into a banana plantation, which is how it got its official name, Ilha de Queimada Grande, which means Slash and Burn Island. Unsurprisingly to anyone who knows the island's history, the project was abandoned, and the island has been untouched by humans ever since, except for a few Navy sailors and apparently some scientists. The locals refuse to go near Snake Island, and they have plenty of stories and legends about it, none of which are very reassuring right now. Local legend has it that a pirate placed venomous snakes on the island to protect their buried treasure, and in the centuries since, the deadly snakes have completely taken over the island. You'll never forget the story about the lost fisherman who landed on Snake Island. Starving, he went to shore in search of bananas, only to be bitten numerous times by snakes. He somehow made it back to his boat, but it was too late. He was found days later adrift, lying in the bottom of his boat in a pool of his own blood. You shiver at the memory of these childhood horror stories, and you turn to your new friend. I thought no humans were allowed on Snake Island, you say. Of course not, he replies. It's far too dangerous for civilians. But we're the Navy. We take care of the island and its lighthouse during our annual mission to Snake Island. After a long, choppy 8-hour journey, you finally get your first glimpse of the mythical
People today, they could spend half their lives over 50. That's a lot of living. So it helps to have a wise friend and fierce defender in your
island. From the safety of the boat, the island looks like a tropical paradise. The dramatic rocky shorelines, the temperate subtropical climate, and the lush rainforests almost make you forget how deadly it is. Almost. The ship anchors a few miles off the coast, and the celebratory atmosphere feels unnervingly like a group of people who know that this might be their last night on Earth. Trying to distract yourself, you get to chatting with one of those scientists on board and find out why on earth they would willingly take part in such a dangerous mission. It's her first trip to Snake Island too, but unlike you, she seems excited. She explains how difficult it is to study snakes in the wild, and that Snake Island presents a rare opportunity for biologists to study so many specimens in one place. The snakes on Snake Island, the golden lancehead pit vipers, are unique to the island and can't be found anywhere else on Earth. The golden lancehead is closely related to the jararaca, the mainland snake that's responsible for up to 90% of all fatal snake bites in Brazil. So studying the lancehead can give us important clues about how to reduce the deaths. Scientists believe that Snake Island was once connected to the mainland, but that was when sea levels rose around 11,000 years ago. The island was isolated and the snakes living there evolved separately from their cousins on the mainland. Huh, well, so much for that pirate legend. The next morning, after donning a thick pair of socks and some knee-high leather boots, you find yourself in a small dinghy headed toward the island. With no beaches, the boat has to land on the rocky shore, and you have to scramble out of the boat and up the slick, jagged rocks to land safely on Snake Island. After watching the dinghy disappear, you look around and take in the island for the first time, and realize that the lighthouse that's the focus of your mission is located in the very center of the island. You'll have to trek through snake-infested bush and climb a mountain to get to it, all while carrying heavy lights, batteries, and other gear. Great. Thankfully, the snakes are at their least active during the hottest part of the day, so you guess you should be thankful to be hiking on the group starts out heading single file along a narrow, overgrown path through the dense wood and into the heart of the island. The lead person is carrying an industrial weed whacker to clear the path.
Yeah,
but
weed whacker.
It's still slow going. Within only 5 minutes of setting out, you hear a shout from up ahead. Snake! Everyone freezes in place as they try to spot the deadly living landmine. Then you see it. It takes you a minute, since the snake's pale yellow scale pattern helps it to blend in with the island's rocks, branches, and dry vegetation. But once you see it, you're transfixed. You can't stop staring at its elongated head, and its uncanny eyes seem to track your every movement. At just 20 centimeters long, it's only a small specimen. Typical lance heads average around 70 centimeters long, but they've been known to grow as long as 118 centimeters. But its small size doesn't make it any less deadly. After carefully checking the area for other snakes, your group carries on, giving the snake a wide berth as you pass. You turn to your new buddy, who's just behind you, and ask him how long he has been taking care of this lighthouse. He tells you that the lighthouse has been automated since the 20s after the tragic death of the last lighthouse keeper and his family. He goes on to tell you how the snakes crawled into the lighthouse through the windows and attacked the lighthouse keeper's 5-year-old child. They panicked and made a run for their boat, only to be attacked and bitten by countless more snakes hiding in the trees along the way. They all died. You saw that coming, but you weren't expecting that bit about checking the area for other snakes, so your group carries on, giving the snake a wide...
Damn, the snakes came and said, get the hell off our island. That's why the people said they ain't going there trying to pick no bananas and all that shit. Nigga, the snakes already booted us off the island, and you going back there dealing with them snakes? Nigga, dealing with them snakes is like nature. Just because they're a snake don't mean it ain't nature. You know, and nature usually win. Because how the fuck you gonna fight nature unless you just kill up all the snakes? But my point is, you ain't gonna destroy nature. Nature is gonna get you first.
Berth as you pass. You turn to your new buddy, who's just behind you, and ask him how long the Navy has been taking care of this lighthouse. He tells you that the lighthouse has been automated since the 20s after the tragic death of the last lighthouse keeper and his family. He goes on to tell you how the snakes crawled into the lighthouse through the windows and attacked the lighthouse keeper's 5-year-old child. They panicked and made a run for their boat, only to be attacked and bitten by countless more snakes hiding in the trees along the way. They all died. You saw that coming, but you weren't expecting that bit about the trees. Looking ahead, you can see that the wide open path is about to head into a section of dense forest with a canopy of tree branches above your head. Are there a lot of snakes in the trees? You ask nervously. Oh yes, pipes up one of the scientists in front of you. It's part of what makes these snakes so special. There are no other mammals on this island, which means that while the snakes have no predators, there's also no prey for them on the ground. Instead, they hunt the seabirds that rest on the island's trees. Most snakes strike and then sit back and wait for their victim to succumb to the venom. But with so much competition, not to mention their prey's wings, the lanceheads don't have that luxury, so they've evolved a super potent venom that will incapacitate their prey immediately. The lancehead's venom is 5 times stronger than their Jararaca cousins, and one bite can kill a person in less than an hour. The venom is so strong that it melts the flesh around the wound and quickly spreads throughout the body, causing kidney failure, necrosis of the muscles, brain hemorrhaging, and intestinal bleeding. We do have antivenom with us, but even with a quick dose, there's still a high chance of death. So watch your step. Great. Just what you needed to hear before walking through the forest. You keep your eyes peeled, your hands to yourself, and check 10 times before every step and 100 times before you put your hands anywhere. You spot more snakes, at least one every 5 minutes, and that's just the ones you see. But somehow, miraculously, after a grueling 1.5 hours, the group makes it to the lighthouse unscathed. You and your buddy climb up to the very top of the lighthouse and are treated to a 360-degree view of the island. It's breathtaking, but you're not convinced it's worth the harrowing trip. After changing the light bulb, you head back down to the base of the tower and sit down to wait for your friend. Get up, he says, coming down the ladder. You're sitting on the batteries, and we need to change them next. You scramble to your feet and turn to pick up a battery and immediately freeze. There, under the very battery your unprotected rear was just sitting on, is a tiny lancehead viper. You feel like you just had a near-death experience, which, to be fair, you kinda did. You're so shaken by your experience at the lighthouse that you hardly have the energy to be nervous on the walk back. That's a bonus, because now you're headed to an even more remote part of the island to meet up with the scientists and make camp for the night. As you arrive at the campsite, you experience another moment of sheer terror. Marcelo Duarte, the lead biologist, is holding one of those deadly snakes in his hands. As you're...
What can I do with less asthma? With Dupixent, I can do more beginner's yoga. Namaste.
As you're mentally preparing for the worst, you realize that the snake is trapped in some kind of tube, and the scientists appear to be measuring it, Don't worry, Marcelo says with a laugh. I've come to this island more than 20 times and I haven't been bitten yet. He goes on to explain what he's doing, measuring the snake's length and weight and inserting a tiny microchip under its skin to track their movement patterns. But the most important work is the most deadly, collecting the snake's lethal venom. Marcelo is an expert in the pharmaceutical uses of venom, which he believes has the potential to help with heart disease, circulation issues, and blood clots, and more. Some venoms, he says, even show promise as anti-cancer drugs. You're surprised to learn about the uses of snake venom, but what you hear next is truly astounding. Apparently, the golden lancehead are considered critically endangered, and the entire island is a protected area. You find that hard to believe since the snakes are so numerous on the island, and that you're never more than 3 feet away from death. There are between 1 to 5 of these deadly snakes in every square meter of the island. But scientists explain that the snake population has actually dropped by as much as 50% in recent years, from almost 4,000 snakes 15 years ago down to less than 2,000 now, thanks to disease, deforestation by the Navy, and believe it or not, pirates. Illegal animal smugglers still raid the island and risk their lives to capture the deadly snakes, which can fetch between $10,000 and $30,000 each on the black market. After an exhausting day of being on constant high alert, you're surprised to find your tent looking rather inviting, even after the group finds at least 5 snakes hanging from the trees above you. After carefully checking every nook and cranny of your tent, you zip yourself tightly inside and pray that you'll make it to dawn alive. By some miracle, you do survive the night and even manage to catch some shut-eye. And the group wastes no time packing up and heading back to the shore, watching for snakes every step of the way. When you finally made it back to the safety of your boat, you drop to your knees and kiss the deck, ignoring the chuckles of your fellow sailors and seasoned scientists. You can hardly believe you spent the night on Snake Island, the deadliest place on Earth, and lived to tell the tale. As the ship heads back to the mainland and you watch the island fade beyond the horizon, you know that you've done something that only a handful of other people will ever get the chance to do. But as exhilarating as the experience was, you're in no rush to return to Snake Island anytime soon. Now that you know about Snake Island, if you're brave enough or stupid enough to want to visit, you could try bribing a local fisherman to approach the island, but we definitely don't recommend it. It's not only incredibly dangerous, but also extremely illegal. So unless you want to die a horrible death or rot away in a Brazilian prison, how about seeing the snakes in captivity instead? The Butantan Institute of Sao Paulo's Serpentarium is home to 5 gorgeous specimens, nestled safely behind a thick wall of glass. No need to go anywhere near Snake Island, the most dangerous place on Earth. If you like this video, you'll definitely want to check out our other videos, like Most Dangerous Places in the World. Or you might like this other video instead.
Most dangerous snakes in the world.
Let's go, Buffalo!
Snake Island.
To push the power in the overload. Raise it up till the vibe reach Holy Ghost. I know this the moment you've been waiting on. Let me know. Find up in my level never low.
Gang.
Snakes. Just the thought of one of those slithering murder worms is enough to give most people the chills. With venomous fangs, muscular bodies that can crush the life out of a grown man, and S-tier stealth skills, snakes are nature's way of reminding us that she hates us. But what are the largest snakes that ever lived, and more importantly, how many of them are still around? Warning, for anyone suffering from ophidiophobia, you may want to tune out now, or never go outside again. Number 20, Eastern Diamondback Rattlesnake. Rattlesnakes are known for one dominant feature, their deathly rattle that they use to politely inform you that if you don't back off right now, you're about to be in a world of hurt. The Eastern Diamondback is king of the rattlesnake pile though, with specimens growing up to 7 feet and weighing on average up to 15 pounds for large specimens. But it's believed the Diamondbacks can actually grow even larger than this, with at least one documented specimen having reached an incredible 7.8 feet and 34 pounds. Luckily for you, most Diamondbacks are much smaller than this, and their rattle will warn you to stay well away from their highly venomous fangs. Number 19, King Cobra. King Cobras average a length of up to 12 feet, but some specimens have been measured at a whopping 18 feet and can weigh up to 30 pounds. This snake combines the best of both worlds, if you're a snake anyway, with a muscular body capable of crushing bone and a deadly venomous bite that can leave a victim paralyzed within minutes. The snake is perhaps best known for its threat displays when it'll rise up to 4 feet off the ground and stare its victim in the face. Despite its fearsome reputation though, king cobras are notoriously shy creatures and typically only attack when threatened, backed into a corner, or defending a clutch of eggs. Surprisingly, regular rattlesnakes in North America cause 5 times as many deaths per year as king cobras do across Southeast Asia. Number 18. Sanaja. Now it's time for our first prehistoric member of this countdown, and if the fact that this snake appears at number 18 tells you anything, it's that this means most of history's deadliest snakes are very much still alive in our modern era. The Sanaja hails from the late Cretaceous in modern-day India, and was first discovered coiled around an egg adjacent to a sauropod hatchling. From this, scientists have inferred that the snake preyed on young dinosaurs and their eggs, likely meaning that the snake was highly venomous, as it would have to ensure a fast kill in order to escape an egg clutch before mom and dad have a chance to respond. Coming in at 11 feet, Sanaja was probably a pretty heavy snake, given its diet of large dinosaur eggs and their equally large hatchlings. Number 17. Olive python. You already know we couldn't possibly do a video discussing terrifying animals and not include Australia. God put Australia at the very southern edge of the world, surrounded by oceans, and still, humans didn't get the message to keep out. Coming in at 13 feet and weighing as much as 40 pounds, the olive python has been giving unwary bushwhackers out on walkabouts the Hershey squirts for centuries. Yet despite its impressive size and penchant for eating crocodiles, the olive python is actually considered to be one of the friendliest snakes in the world, and pose no threat to humans. Snake owners rave about olive pythons for their beauty, but also their curious, calm temperament when out of their cages. Number 16. Papuan python. If snakes had legs, they'd rule the world. But thankfully for us, evolution has limited their predatory advantages to keen senses, muscular bodies, and venomous fangs. But then evolution hacked the game and gave one species of python access to cheats. Enter the Papuan python, a snake with chameleon-like powers to change its color. Coming in at 17 feet and weighing up to 50 pounds, the Papuan python is a terrifying predator in its own right, even without the added advantage of chameleon powers. Scientists still don't understand how or why the snake can change colors, but this python is capable of changing from jet black to mustard yellow, possibly depending on its mood. Number 15. Cuban boa. One good thing about snakes is that at the very least they're solitary animals, or at least they were until scientists discovered Cuban boas hunting together in a pack. That's right, Cuban boas took the advantage that humans, wolves, and wild dogs and lions have, pack tactics, and added it to their already terrifying arsenal of natural advantages. For now, these boas, which can grow up to 16 feet and weigh as much as 60 pounds, limit their pack hunting to bats, as dozens of snakes line up outside of cave entrances and snatch flying bats out of the air. But it's only a matter of time before these huge snakes get a taste for man and start lining up outside of our Walmarts to prey on the unwary. Number 14. Dark-spotted anaconda. When people think anacondas, they think of two things: Sir Mix-a-Lot and the green anaconda. However, the green anaconda may be the largest of its cousins, but is one of several species. This shrimp of the absolutely monstrous family of snakes is still a significantly large snake nonetheless, with the dark-spotted anaconda growing up to 15 feet and weighing up to 70 pounds. Primarily a water snake, the dark-spotted anaconda preys on anything stupid enough to enter the Amazonian rivers, where it makes its home. Number 13. Yellow anaconda. In what will definitely not be the last showing for the anaconda family on this list, the yellow anaconda is slightly bigger than the dark-spotted anaconda, reaching lengths of up to 15.1 feet and weighing as much as 77 pounds. Its yellowish skin allows the anaconda to perfectly blend in with the murky waters of turbulent rivers, or along the muddy banks where it stalks everything from large mammals to crocodiles. Perhaps unsurprisingly, yellow anacondas are not recommended to be kept as pets, as they're extremely aggressive animals. Number 12. Boa constrictor. The boa constrictor may also be called the common boa, but there's very little that's average about this monstrous snake. A common fixture in the homes of many of America's favorite creepy uncles that never got married. The boa is notorious for eating pets, and even children, when poorly taken care of. Coming in at sizes up to 14 feet, and an average weight of 33 pounds. Some common boas have grown to absolutely monstrous sizes and weighed as much as 100 pounds. Though thankfully for anyone that doesn't fancy being suffocated to death by a giant snake as their ribs snap like matchsticks, it is incredibly rare for them to grow to this size. Number 11, Bolivian anaconda. Coming in at 13 feet and weighing just a little more than its yellow anaconda and dark-spotted anaconda cousins, the Bolivian anaconda was believed to be a hybrid between yellow and green anacondas, but recent research has confirmed that this frightening snake is a species all its own. Thankfully, this massive snake makes its home primarily in the jungles of Bolivia and surrounding areas, but is a notorious threat to domesticated wildlife that's been hunted to near extinction. Number 10, Yerlunger. Sounding like an Icelandic heavy metal band, Yerlunger is a prehistoric snake only recently discovered. This massive 20-foot snake roamed Australia during the Miocene period, where it hunted in packs of up to 30 snakes at a time and took down prey on land and in sea. Fine, we don't actually know anything about its hunting behavior, as very little fossil evidence of this snake has been discovered. But at this point, given everything we've learned about snakes so far, we wouldn't be surprised if any of that was actually true. Either way, we're glad this one's extinct, though Australia definitely has more than enough modern horrors to worry about. Number 9, amethystine python. The amethystine python is one of 6 of the world's largest living snakes. And if you're paying close attention, you'll see that that means only 3 of our top 10 most terrifying snakes to ever lived in the ancient past. This means that our modern world may be the most terrifying place to live for anyone with a fear of snakes. Also known as the scrub python, there's nothing scrubbish about this massive snake, which can reach an incredible 22.7 feet in length and weigh as much as 110 pounds. This massive constrictor snake makes its home, where else, in Australia, along the northernmost tip of the continent, and is endemic to West.
People today, they could spend half their lives over 50.
I get used to this.
So it helps to have a friend in your corner. A friend like AARP. To help keep you exploring. Keep you involved.
We did it.
Yeah, we did it.
And keep you connected. So your happiness lives as long as you do. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Join today.
To Western New Guinea. These massive snakes eat everything from birds to possums to even wallabies, and pretty much anything that happens to wander by while it's feeling hungry. Number 8, Wanambi. Yet another monster snake from Australia. The Wanambi was well known to the Aboriginals that inhabited the land down under. Measuring between 5 and 6 meters long, this massive snake was known to lay in ambush at watering holes, where prey would be forced to come to it. Capable of killing and consuming a small child, Aboriginal children were cautioned to never approach a watering hole alone and wait for an adult. Another non-venomous snake, the Wanambi instead preferred to crush prey to death before swallowing it whole. Number 7, Indian rock python. The Indian rock python is peculiar for a snake in that it's one of the few snakes that seems almost reluctant to attack, even in self-defense. Notoriously lethargic and very slow-moving, these massive pythons have been known to go up to 2 years without a meal. When on a hunt, though, the Indian rock python uses its muscular body to asphyxiate prey before swallowing it whole. The largest of these pythons ever officially recorded was discovered in Pakistan and grew to 15 feet and weighed in at 110 pounds. Curiously, these pythons are known to vomit up their meals if they feel threatened, so they don't accidentally puncture their own bodies on bones, hooves, or antlers before slithering away to safety. Number 6, African rock python. The largest snake in Africa, the African rock python, is the undisputed heavyweight of the African bush, growing up to 20 feet and weighing up to an incredible 201 pounds. There's little this massive snake fears from Africa's other predators. Thankfully, the average size of an African rock python differs based on geography, with snakes living closer to human settlements being smaller, and the uninhabited wilds of Sierra Leone home to the true monsters of this species. The true maximum size of this species is unknown, and rumors persist of even larger snakes such as the one spotted by a World War II veteran pilot in the 50s while flying a helicopter in the Congo. A passenger managed to take this photograph of the massive snake, and though the true size is impossible to estimate, it does appear to dwarf some of the large bushes and small trees in the image. Number 5, Burmese python. In modern times, it doesn't get much bigger than the incredible Burmese python, growing up to 19 feet. The largest verified Burmese python weighed in at an absolutely mind-blowing 403 pounds. At these sizes, there's very little that's off the menu for this snake, and that includes humans, with stories of Burmese pythons crushing humans to death and then eating them head first regularly reported in the media. In 2018, a woman from Indonesia went missing after going to check on her vegetable garden. What the rescue party discovered was terrifying. A monster of a python with a huge bloated belly that when cut open revealed the remains of the dead woman. And if you think you're safe living in America, think again, as in 2019 a 17-foot python was found in the US. Number 4, reticulated python. Most snakes have a fairly limited range, which is only expanded when humans who make terrible life decisions try and keep one as a pet, only to realize it's far too difficult to handle such a massive snake and release it into their local wilderness. The reticulated python, the longest living snake in the world, doesn't need humans to spread its reign of terror, as it's an excellent swimmer that's been spotted far out at sea. The largest recorded python weighed in at 350 pounds and was an incredible 25.2 feet long. Though it's believed that even larger specimens are possible in the most remote areas of the South Asian habitat. Reticulated pythons have been known to kill and eat everything from sun bears to human children. Number 3, green anaconda. When you think man-eating snake, you probably think of the green anaconda, and not without reason. Averaging in around 22 feet in length, green anacondas routinely weigh as much as 200 pounds. However, historical records have given us lengths of almost 30 feet and weights in excess of 300 pounds. Amazon natives have told many stories of snakes even larger than this, with lengths of 35 to 40 feet and weights of over 400 pounds. Historically, it's been difficult to verify many of these encounters with monstrous snakes, as these massively powerful animals are less than cooperative about stretching out so they can be measured by scientists. Given the incredible sizes other snakes can reach in areas untouched by humans and the long lifespan of an anaconda, such reports of monster snakes may not be without some merit. Number 2. Gigantophis. Until the discovery of the snake at the number 1 spot on our countdown, Gigantophis was considered to be the largest snake that ever lived. Initial size estimates had it growing from 30 to 35 feet, but revised estimates have shortened this figure to just over 22 feet. Living during the Paleogene period, mammals were just beginning to diversify and celebrate the fall of their cruel dinosaur overlords, until Gigantophis showed up to eat them whole and remind them that reptiles were still the coolest kids on the block. Number 2, Titanoboa. This is it, the snake that ruled them all, the largest snake of all in discovered history. While modern anacondas are rumored to grow up to 40 feet, the Titanoboa regularly grew up to 42 feet in length and weighed in at an incredible 2,500 pounds. That makes the average Titanoboa as heavy as a modern car and as long as a school bus. This pants-shittingly terrifying monster of a snake roamed the earth shortly after the extinction of the dinosaurs, and along with its cousin Gigantophis, served to remind those upstart mammals that reptiles are king. Curiously, while Titanoboa could have eaten literally anything that crossed its path, except maybe another Titanoboa, it's believed that it was mainly a fish eater, which would help explain why this massive snake carried its bulk around. Such a heavy snake would have been poorly suited for hunting on land, and would need the aid of buoyancy to move around quickly. And there you have it, the 20 most terrifying snakes to ever live, and 20 reasons to never ever leave your house again. Now, go check out largest animals size comparison,
20
or
reasons
check this
to
other
never leave
video
your house
instead.
again, bartender. At least if your house is an island, or some shit like that. Nigga, you live on an island, damn sure shouldn't even be there. Here we go again, bartender. Welcome back to Video Nightmares here on the Karma's Kitchen. Another safari. Hey, we got to put some more nightmares on the grill. Here goes some more. This is, hey, it's turning into features for educational and fair use purposes.
Exactly what it said. I only got halfway through it, but my brain pieced together the rest.
Here we go.
Most
Nightmare Central.
he knows everything. I got a whole thing right here. Cheers.
Y'all scared of nightmares, y'all might not want to watch this video.
A teenager has unknowingly filmed his mate's last known moment alive.
Oh, no.
The chilling footage shows 19-year-old Raymond Cabelfin Jr. was whisked away by a powerful current after jumping into the American River near Auburn, California.
Oh no.
Raymond Cabelfin Jr. was hiking with 3 other friends on the Lake Clementine Trail before
He looks blazing.
he and a young woman decided to test the rushing waters of the 120-mile-long river for a dip.
Couldn't have been that hot. Shit, nigga, they said 120 miles. That's when you get off. Your next stop is 120 miles. Nigga, you didn't even travel 120 miles to get to the lake. How the fuck? You're gonna be too tired, buddy.